Welcome to the Annie Jennings PR Real Stories of Success podcast series. Annie Jennings is the creator of the most powerful radio campaign in the country, where you are booked on high-impact shows in top markets, as well as the famous pay-for-placement national television, print, and online media program, where Annie offers guaranteed deliverables. My name is Stacey Amaral Kaufman. I'm the radio director for Annie Jennings PR, and today we are sharing another real story of success to give listeners an inside look into what it's like to work with Annie Jennings. And our guest today is Dr. Andrew Wittman. He's author of Ground Zero Leadership, CEO of You. He's a Marine veteran, former police officer, and federal agent who teaches mental toughness to the CEOs of America's biggest companies. Firmly in our famous ladder strategy for the past couple of years, Andrew has written for Entrepreneur.com and was interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, the BBC, U.S. News and World Report, MarketWatch, CBS, and Fox Television, plus many more. But it did all begin with radio. Andrew was heard on over 300 stations during his top market radio campaign, including big media brands like CBS Radio, iHeartMedia, ESPN Radio, in major cities across the country. So, Andrew, thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you, Stacey. It's been a while. You rock.
It has been a while. Thank you. Well, you obviously do too, because we've got some pretty cool, exciting news that you've been invited to work with a major publishing house, an opportunity that seemingly came out of nowhere, but you found out that they were watching you, your media appearances, how you leverage those. So talk to us about this whole scene, what's going on, and the way Annie Jennings helped you get here.
Right, and it did. It started with radio, and we began building our media profile, plus the media training that you guys give, so that you're, succinct and, on it when you come to the interviews and hit the time marks, and you're not fumbling around. So that was awesome. And then we did move on to, into the print media and television, and it's just and right. It just doesn't stop. And you mentioned, the media profile. It's so big now, I can't even keep up with it. And it did open the door to that major publishing company reaching out to me and saying, hey, let's explore possibilities of you coming on board with us. Like, that's just crazy. Like, that would never happen if I wasn't climbing the ladder and just doing the process that, you guys have laid out for all your clients.
Now, you have the possible book deal, right? But that's not the only thing that you have going for you. How have all those media assets, what I mentioned, what you mentioned, what else have you gained through those bookings that have helped your consulting business?
Right, and it gives you credibility, right? So every time that you're on, Fox News or Time Magazine picks up a piece, or, there's so many to mention, right? Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, Inc., Men's Journal, even. It puts you in a position of strength. So when you do make the sales call, or they do call you, because that happens all the time, people start seeking you out because of the publicity. You're recognized as a credible national, expert on your subject. So you're negotiating from a position of strength instead of trying to convince somebody, hey, I got a great product. There's just so much on that media profile that shows, hey, this guy's got a great product. There's a huge track record his company's putting out, and look, because you don't get into all these places without being vetted. So, you can't quantify how great it is to have that credibility. It's literally impossible to put a monetary value on it. It's just so incredible.
Now, you talked about the process earlier, and so what does all of this success and everything else that you've got going for you say about allowing the process to work for you, but also at the same time always moving forward within that process, leveraging everything you can consistently over time?
All you have, and this is the thing, I always say I'm Forrest Gump, right? I just do whatever you told me to do when we started out with the radio. I do what Annie
right.
tells me to do. I don't push back, right? And this is huge, right? So instead of being afraid, so listen, we've all been burned before. Anybody that's done anything to put themselves out there, and you've gotten a PR firm before, you pay your retainer and you never hear anything. It just goes into a black hole. I get it, right? But you got to get back on the horse. You have got to get back in the game. Do your research. Yes. Listen to what I'm telling you. Call me if you need, I'll tell you that Annie's the real deal. And listen, in my business, I don't charge people a retainer and say, I'll come speak or do your training and then never show up. But that's what happens in the PR world, right? So I don't know how they keep getting clients, but Annie is not like that. Annie and her folks only get paid when they perform, just like me. When I come, I give the speech, then I can bill, then I get paid, right? So I always like it if people be like, well, I got burned, with a PR firm. Listen, I got food poisoning before too, but the amazing thing is I still come back and eat almost every day I eat.
Right. Right, exactly. You have such a way with words, Andrew. I don't know. I mean, did we help you with this too? I don't know.
I did get good media training from you guys.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't you talk a little bit about, well, actually, I wanted to bring this up because it was something that we discussed on the phone, and I was like, wow, this is something that I have to ask him about when we talk on the podcast. You mentioned that without Annie Jennings PR, you'd be dead in the water. What do you mean by that?
100%. I know, right? And Annie and I go back and forth on this all the time. She's like, no, you're so awesome. I'm like, no, you're so awesome. Well, here's the deal. I've been doing this thing that I've been doing on my research and coming up with the content and mental toughness and leadership for like 30 years. Only in the last 2 years are we like hitting critical mass. The only thing different that I've done is I've signed on with Annie Jennings PR. That's the only thing different. So literally, 28 years, you're grinding it out. We're getting nowhere. Right, the last 2 years I'm with Annie Jennings, and I'm about to hit critical mass. I've got, people asking me to do publishing deals, it's keynote speeches, it's media appearances, and so I would have been dead in the water. I was dead in the water for like 28 years. And I shouldn't even be old enough to say I've been anything for 28 years, but it's true.
Now, what are some tips that you can give others who want some of the things that you're talking about that you've achieved, being able to charge what you want, negotiating from a position of strength, even possible book deals?
Well, the thing is, first off, like you get your messaging straight, and Annie Jennings PR will help you with your messaging. So that's the thing. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be congruent. It's got to be sharp. And I'll tell you, it's not as simple or as easy as you think it would be. Because if you think you could do it on your own, which I did, I tried to do it on my own, like I said, for 28 years. But you guys know, and so I always ask, I always call up, and I want to know what you guys think. Like even you guys even looked at like my website design before it went up. Was the messaging like this, a book title or an article title, should it be like this? Because you guys are the professionals. You know what it takes to package it in the way, right? That it should be packaged in order to get it out there. So I would just encourage everybody, just listen to like the experts. Like you hire Annie, listen to what they say, don't push back, just do it, and you're going to see the results. There's just not, the process is the process. It's just like, weight loss or any other process. We know it works. Just do it and you'll get the results you want.
And finally, in a nutshell, what would you say are your 3 or maybe more, you might have more, favorite things about Annie Jennings PR?
No, there's can't be, like 3. Okay, so this is just one example. I'm going to brag on Sarah, who does the TV and the print stuff. I was going to Australia. Every time I travel, I just send Sarah an email. Hey, I'm going to be in this city on that day, this city on that day. Let's see what we can come up with. She booked me on like a dozen interviews in Australia while I was down there on vacation, right? So, and this is the killer. This is so awesome. This is the level of professionalism, Stacey. Every one of those producers on TV and radio and print down there, they thought Sarah was in Australia because she was emailing and talking to them on their time in the middle of the night here. Mm-hmm. Like that is like crazy. Like I wouldn't even do it. I don't expect her to, right? So and she's doing all of that. I'm not paying anything until the piece runs, or so she's. Not to get 12 interviews, she must have had to talk to 50 people, right? So she's putting in a lot of time. That's my favorite thing about the whole Annie Jennings PR thing, is that you guys go well above and beyond anything that you should even ask or think. Like that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, we talk about how if we were a retainer PR firm or if we charged by the hour, no one could ever afford anything.
Seriously, no. Yes. So, anybody, if you're afraid to just pull the trigger and go to work with Annie, call me. Because that's insane it's insane to not work with you guys.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking with you. Of course, your energy is great. You deserve everything that you have, and best of luck with the possible book deal. We'll be watching, not necessarily from afar, from very close, right? So we're right here for you.
Right?
We are.
Thanks,
and you know what? You're welcome. Our listeners, of course, if you're listening to this podcast, you can learn more about Dr. Andrew Wittman. Again, his book title is Ground Zero Leadership, CEO of You. And, of course, all those other fantastic things. He has great resources, great content on his website, which is getwarriortough.com, getwarriortough.com. Thanks again, Andrew.
No, thank you. Love you guys.
This podcast is presented by Annie Jennings of the national publicity firm Annie Jennings PR. For more information on how you, too, can experience national media success and those guaranteed deliverables, please visit AnnieJenningsPR.com.